All right, hello everyone. We actually have a chance to take a look at some Stormgate stuff. It's early access, day 2. I've had some high-level players send me some replays. Recording structure is going to be weird for just a little bit. I am in the middle of moving down to Texas. I am in the office of a small town of rural America. I've got things figured out, but if things are a little bit weird, again, I apologize. That's how it's going to work. But this is DON-ILYA. It's Jardozer, 2 top 10, top 20 Infernal Celestial players. We're on Lost Hope. Or excuse me, Isle of Dread. There we go, a map that has changed around a little bit from the previous playtest. Man, I know I keep saying this, but I am digging the soundtrack they've got. This is just awesome. So I've taken a look at the playtest a little bit. I've taken a look at the patch notes a little bit, but this is literally the first game that I have had a chance to take a look at. So, and I haven't really internalized the changes just yet. So what this means, I'm gonna do my best. If I'm confused about something, if I'm figuring something out, yeah, we'll learn together. It's gonna be a good time. So for now, big changes to the Celestials. This arc ship no longer can attack, whether it's landed, whether it's flying, doesn't matter. It cannot attack. So morph cores and top bar abilities are pretty much the only things that give a Celestial defensive power in the early game. Now, eventually they're gonna start building units, but for now, it's all about these morph cores, all about the top bar abilities. So it's going to be interesting to see if Jardozer decides to mess around with this a little bit, kind of take advantage of those ideas. As we can see as well, Prism's coming out fairly early. Well, Prisms do a couple things, but in this case, they're just going to make sure that this collection array goes and mines as much as possible, as quickly as possible. Just really increases the efficiency there. As also, looks like there's a graphic now if you got Prisms attached. That's pretty cool. Lots of visual polish, and yeah, the terrain maybe needs a little bit of help. It's not quite there just yet, the ground terrain mapping, but I mean, this arc ship looks a lot better than it did in the last playtest. So, you know, in the context of early access, I'm pretty happy. But anyway, so again, we're gonna see that top bar ability, purification beam or something like that. I cannot quite remember what it's called. Now it has 3 charges. So you can use it a little bit more, and that's just the pressure that Jardozer's putting on to snipe the Prism down. Gets himself a fiend, but it's trapped away. Might be able to get this power bank down. We'll see. And yes, DON-ILYA is building structures. He's starting to get his production online. This creation chamber is the new tier 1 basic celestial production structure that lets you go and build, well, argents and things like that. Basic units. On the other side, Jardozer, what has he got? Brutes. They are going to be your early game Celestial unit more often than not. Conclave, anything out of the Conclave realistically needs, well, it needs Therium now. It's not quite as early. You can't go like a triple Conclave Gaunt opener, I don't think, anymore. Yes, you'll build Gaunts 2 at a time, but it still requires a little bit. It's like 15 Therium, I think, to build them out. So that does take a little bit of time. Can we CC cost? No, we can't. Okay. And again, I'm just in love with the soundtrack. By the way, things to point out as we're taking a look at here. Look at the little pet. It's a little chicken. You can see this right here. So cute. Oh, the chicken. Although the Rizzy kitty, I simultaneously love and hate that thing. The concept of it. Calling it Rizzy kitty though. That being said, forward creation chamber coming out. This is the prime creation chamber. So while there's 1 over here, 2 over here that are taking some damage, while there's 1 right here, it is, of course, well, you're still building out of the front. So that's a lot of Argents getting ready. Trying to take the creep camps on that top bar ability. And for now, well, a lot of Brutes are going to get on top of these Argents, and it seems like they're going to handle some of them. The creep camp's still being dealt with. And we're going to have to see exactly... one of the things they've done, by the way... one of the things they've done, by the way, is, well, creep camps are a lot harder to take. They're a lot more interesting to deal with. And that means that these early games just kind of sweeping all the camps from the map is probably not going to be the thing. It's a little bit more impactful now to go and knock this down. So this is the health camp. If you take this, not only does it give you a little bit of Therium, I think it is. We're going to have to see what pops up here. Or apparently that's not the observer overlay at the moment. But when you take this camp, what it also does is it gives all of your units on the map a little bit of health regen. And in this area, well, it makes the regen even more. So we're gonna have to see exactly how that is gonna impact things and all these various, of course, the vision camps. Not only do they give you vision in the area, they also make all your units have a little bit more vision. I imagine that's gonna be extremely impactful when Hellborns start to pop on the field, if we get there, when Atlases start to arrive. Celestials have a siege unit? Not sure. Anyways, same idea as well, right? You take a look at the Luminite tower, it generates Luminite. This actually doesn't have any global buffs, right? Because it's just a little bit of money, but it does help DON-ILYA's economy as he's now trying to establish the center of the map. And when you talk about how a Celestial wants to play, it's kind of interesting because, again, they don't have a true main base. They have these collection arrays, absolutely, that they're showing up around and doing things with, but realistically, they don't have a main base. They're trying to take the map, and that means that we can kind of take ideas from chess a little bit here, where in chess, when one of the first things you learn when you're trying to get better at chess is controlling the center of the map, controlling the board, controlling the center of the board is the most important thing because it unlocks everything else. And my sense goes is, hey, more chicken. My sense says that that's kind of be true for the Celestials as well. On a lot of these maps, I think we are going to see them just really focus on controlling the center of the map, on making sure that they can go and, because if you can dominate the center, that cuts off a lot of movement patterns. It can be pretty useful. So for now, we're going to see some link nodes go down. These, of course, can be transformed into defensive structures that allow, well, in this case, I guess they're offensive structures that will allow DON-ILYA to get a little bit more aggressive. So vision camps available, and we can immediately see as well that all the structures, all these units have a little bit more vision now because the vision camp has been taken a little bit of an extra buff. Now, what I don't know, and I'm very curious to find out here, is whether that, well, actually, I guess that won't matter, right? Because the arc ship on the high ground is not going to give range. But these link nodes, eventually these are going to get turned on, and there we go. We actually can see them transforming right now into the more aggressive options that I'm forgetting what they're called, but also getting this morph core out. Yes, it can build structures a little bit faster, a little bit cheaper, but also it's kind of a worker of the Celestials, and that means you can take trees down. So this aggressive option here from the strike nodes coming on out, this forward motion, this is where Celestials get hard to deal with, when they can start to establish their structures further and further forward, get some power banks down. Of course, when they get surged, they can energize things. They can make that, they can regenerate energy just a little bit more. So we're going to see the Shroud Stone gets called down. That's Animus that's been spent. Jardozer, only 25 Animus at the moment, not a ton. But he's in this awkward situation right now where it's very hard because of where the trees are to defend against this. Getting on top, the chokes are just not there. And he doesn't really have a ton of high tier units at the moment. There's one Hellborn on the map, looks like, and that's going to help out quite a bit here, I think. The splash damage is powerful, and also they can knock these trees down. Maybe give yourself a little bit more of an opportunity. And also, seems like some of these strike nodes have been taken out as well on the right side. I guess actually Hellborn killed the strike nodes very quickly. 335, 350 HP. They are regenning a little bit, but we are starting to see them take down just a little bit. Anything else happening on the map? We don't have notifications just yet. Seems like not. Just this mass Argent rush, tons of Hellborn. And Jardozer really doesn't want to take the fight. He doesn't want to take the fight with his Gaunts in range of this. They're just going to trading structures for units always feels a little bit weird. So he's going to try to take the fight with Hellborn, knocking the strike nodes down, and that means the Argents, they're going to move on to the right side, taking advantage of the meat farm a little bit, and they are going to shred everything here. Argents do so much damage. 16 damage when they're powered on is such a massive thing. So yeah, this meat farm gets one tap here. The Argent count is insane, and yes, there's one Hellborn, but realistically you want a couple more. So the fight's gonna have to go off a little bit more. And Gaunts, they do bonus, or they do splash damage that helps out quite a bit. And also they have infest now. So we're seeing these fiends pop out a little bit more as these infested, as these infested Argents go down. And that does mean that it's a little bit easier to take the fight, even if, say, Ghosts or Gaunts don't really do a ton of damage on their own. It does mean that they're able to just have something to buffer their shots, to buffer their damage, which is really almost as important, if not more important, than the damage that the fiends do themselves as they add into the fight. So Jardozer's able to fight back against this, not able to knock down these link nodes for the time being. Are they upgrading? Actually, we don't have an arc station just yet, so we're not going into that one. We're not getting into tier 3, what are they called, bomb nodes or something like that. They drop sticky bombs on top of things. Rather powerful, but for now, fight's gonna happen once again here. A single Hellborn on the back line, but as we had a second one, the splash damage is gonna start to become that much more powerful. I wish we had damage health bars. A little hard to see what's happening, but we can see these Argents are taking significant damage as the Hellborns are just trying to hold their position right now. Brute to the front line, they were buffed a little bit. I forget exactly how hard they were buffed, though. Apologies. But they were buffed a little bit, and their job is to be meat sinks, much like these fiends here, to allow the Hellborn to continue to take the fight. Gaunts adding in that extra damage from the infest, from everything else. And our question now is, the game stagnates a little bit. We have this base on the right side getting taken, this Luminite mine. as we see the space getting taken. Next question is, do we have tech transitions here? Are we getting ready to move into tier 3? And for the moment, this arc ship, mouse movement's a little weird. I don't have a mouse pad at the moment, but this arc ship is not anything. There's no high tech here. We're not at an arc station. We're not at tier 3, whatever that's called. Anyway, so this is just an arc ship. It's not an arc satellite, I think it is. Anyways, we're not at this situation right now where we see DON-ILYA attacking up massively. He really is just on creation chamber. I don't think, let's check on the other bases. I don't see any. Well, there's a Guardian Nexus. Okay, so there is that. We are transitioning into tier 2 or into the next level of tech a little bit. 3 are going to start to arrive. They're going to have that rollout. That means that splash damage over time, or splash damage when they impact, and eventually something that allows them to move when they start to hit that kind of dead zone, that splashing period when they live for a couple more seconds. So that seems to be where DON-ILYA wants to go to next. What are we at? Greater Shrine. Okay. Greater Shrine, so not Elder Shrine. That's not here just yet. We are solidly on tier 2. And what I think is going to be really interesting to track as we pay attention to this game goes a little bit more. Oh, that's not the button I wanted. As we start to develop into this early access period, is really how fast do you tech? In the last playtest, we saw immediately tier 2, immediately, but that was because it took so little time to get to a Greater Shrine, so little time to get to an arc station. They've nerfed that pretty significantly. It's like 40 seconds now to go tier up from tier 1 to tier 2. And that also means that going from tier 2 to tier 3 is a similar metric. So yeah, it does take a while, and that means that theoretically we're going to stay in this mid-game period a little bit longer, but as you get ready to move into the late game, well, that's going to be interesting to see how this works. Of course, Infernals, they have the dragon. The dragon has been buffed. The Flayed Dragon is very strong right now, but it is the singular tier 3 unit that has been added onto the Infernals. Celestials got 2. They got the Seraphim. Actually, Seraphim might be tier 2. And of course, they got that Archangel, this powerful unit that can fly down, impact onto the ground, do a whole bunch of different things. I'm actually don't remember everything they do, but that being said, they're super cool as the Kree are going to find their way into this Luminite line, start to shell away at the shrine. Another Shroudstone manifestation here gets dropped down as the fight happens in the middle of the map as well. These Shroudstones were nerfed pretty significantly, both in terms of how much HP they have and how much damage they do. So that may not defend this base. In fact, no, it's not. The Kree knocked that down. So it's now Jardozer. He's been able to stabilize on these 2 Luminite mines. He's able to mine from that one once again. The link node pressure, the strike node pressure is gone. And in fairness, he didn't lose too many imps on this Luminite setup on the right side, but he lost the base very, very quickly. And as we see DON-ILYA, he's expanding more on the map. He's got a resource camp. He has this base on the north side. His economy is going a whole lot better. And these Argents are just hang out the big firing line. That's what you're looking for. This big concave, a high damage unit shelling away at the chaff of the Infernal army. Are they going to get on top of the Hellborn? Probably not. But they can, of course, kill these brutes. They can kill the fiends. They can kill the gaunts. And they can just force these trades time over time as well. The power banks, we're also seeing them. They're energized, some of them. They're surging up a little bit. And equally as important, we are seeing them go and get that top bar ability, that the alignment, whatever it's called, that makes them shoot and adds that damage on top of things. So it's really hard for the Infernals to take this fight, even with these 4 Hellborn. But now they're also a little bit unsupported. We can see, yeah, Kree are going to start to explode a little bit, and that forces everything back. This army of the Infernals is not as strong as you would like it to be. And yes, we're not seeing this tech transition from DON-ILYA. Not just yet. Again, we just have, oh, that's now the Argent upgrade, photo restoration on the way. So we have the Kree roll them up upgrade. We have this button now eventually that's going to allow for Argents to press a button and just get a lot of energy back very quickly. But we're not seeing additional tech being created. And also because we saw DON-ILYA try to take that vision camp again, this defensive emplacement in the middle map was taken down. Yes, there are creation arrays there. Yes, that is the prime creation array. But even still, the link nodes go down. As I say that though, these Hellborn are very unsupported. They're getting targeted down pretty quickly. Yeah, they got a lot of white health, and that does mean that they are lasting a lot longer than they had any right to. I'm surprised how long they lasted. And that means 3 of these Hellborn, at least 2 of them, are going to stay alive. They're expensive. They got a lot of damage done. They allowed these Gaunts to free fire because about a third of the army was hitting against the Hellborn. But now as the Kree start to arrive, that's where life gets very, very scary. Only 1 Hellborn remains. It's 250 Luminite a pop. They're so expensive. But as I say that, these fiends, these Gaunts are doing a number An absolute number on the Argents, on the Kree, making sure things get taken down as well as they can. More Gaunts getting added in as we see that Hellborn or the, what is it? Hell something resurgence. Make sure that you get a lot more charges on these conclaves very quickly. Jardozer is, yes, he's generating more animus than you used to, but he's still spending a lot of it to make sure that he can take these fights as well as he can possibly make it happen. Now, energy count here for DON-ILYA is probably in the yellow. I forget the percentages, but that does mean he's not producing as fast. That does mean that he's not getting quite as much efficiency out of his structures as he would otherwise if he was in the green. So 183 out of 195, having to use these top bar abilities, the there we go, Sovereign's Watch, to make sure that you have the damage, that you have this defensive tool so you can hold the position, does mean that, again, structures are, he's not going to be building as many Kree, as many Archers quite as quickly. So that does open a window, maybe, that Jardozer can do something about this. Maybe just a little bit, as now, of course, we're seeing more mining here. Jardozer's been back against the wall for quite a while. He's got really good supply. Like, let's be clear here, that fight actually turned out really nicely for him. Although I think some of that supply might be, actually not really all that much. But this economy of DON-ILYA is kind of nutty. That is a bug. The Illuminite mines are not making Kree. But anyways, he's on, what are we? Oh, he's not mining. He's only mining, okay, only mining Therium out of this one. What are we at? He's on 4 collection arrays. That, well, you know, actually, that's not all that bad. Jardozer's economy has been reestablished to a decent metric, and now trying to fight through the structures and this concave of the Infernals is not the easiest thing, but the Kree are going to get on top of it anyways, and I mean, they just shred here. And even when they go down, they hold space. They do damage to the melee units that exist. So another Shroud Stone made manifest, 148 animus on the map. So we're starting to get to that point where if you get to an Elder Shrine, we'll take a look at that thing in a second. We're starting to get to that point for an Elder Shrine where maybe you can get a dragon out. We're going to have to see, but remember, the dragons are not as immediately powerful as they used to be. Make sure that you can go get that big inhalation of infest to do that burst damage, and also again to give all the white health back. To make sure that happens, well, you do need an upgrade. So DON-ILYA may or may not be going for that thing as we head backwards. Let's take a look at this greater shrine. It's just a greater shrine. We're not looking at tier 3, not just yet. DON-ILYA has been far too back against Thrope, even as he continues to really get a lot of this animus, unlocking more power, more opportunities on the map. He doesn't quite have them. I mean, his economy, he has not been building the bank up that allows him to build up into this tier 3. But it does feel like he's starting to get a little bit close to break the middle of the map here. If he can break the middle of the map, that's tremendous. That knocks down 2 creation chambers. Big thing. Level 1, it means that there's just less production on the map for DON-ILYA. As importantly, it means he can't reinforce into the front line quite as easily. Actually, we're seeing Jardozer get a little bit of help here from the creep camp, doing a little bit of damage on the creation chamber. It's not a ton, but it is something. And with these Hellborn on the back lines and Gaunt to the front, Fiends getting on top as well, even with Sovereign's Watch, which I think is about to time out pretty quickly. Anat still got half duration, but even with Sovereign's Watch here, that's not enough damage. The Roots are still fighting very strong Fiends as well, and this position on the low ground has been broken. Maybe there's another round of production, I don't know, but yeah, this is gonna go down here. Creation chamber dead soon. And finally, this position that DON-ILYA has had for like the last 10 minutes or so is gonna get taken down. I mean, I think Hellborn, I gotta be careful here, kiting away, but the Kree, yeah, they're forced to explode. More are gonna start to arrive, just buying as much time as possible. But DON-ILYA, 35 supplies, 124 Jardozer, middle of the map is dead. And after this really marathon game that we're seeing happen here, it's all been about the middle of the map. Finally, the middle of the map is broken. We didn't see DON-ILYA really take this Luminite mine all that quickly. And actually, what we're learning here, it seems like, well, if you want to play Celestials, much like Infernals in previous playtests, you really need that Therium. So he's got a ton of Luminite in the bank, but the Therium mining seems like it has been the problem at the end of the day. So he's mining out of, well, he took this double Therium patch, but only 1 Prism on this. I feel like you want 3 or 4. Just, again, when you're lacking Therium, as DON-ILYA is, build more prisms. Make them go, develop your mining a little bit more, because he really was only mining on like 1 Therium patch. Okay, well, that explains things. And that's one of the things that we're gonna see happen a little bit more and more as this game develops. The economy curves. How much Therium do I mine? How much Luminite do I mine? How does that need to be? How does that need to work? That's going to be developed a little bit more. And, you know, We are 24 hours into early access. Builds aren't really a thing, not just yet. So we're figuring it out. And DON-ILYA really did a nice job in the pressure early game. That was a difficult bit of pressure to stop with the link node, with the strike node spam early on. Was very powerful. But I think at the end of the day, the big issue here is that we just did not see DON-ILYA tech up. There's some very powerful units added into the Celestials, but he kind of got stuck on free Argent. And we didn't see, well, did he finally make, it's still an arc ship. He never got to tier 2, never made an arc station, never got himself up to Seraphine or Animancers or any of these kind of late game splash damage units that can be so powerful, sabers and things. Vectors maybe, probably not Vectors, not in this matchup. But he just never got into it, and now that means that Jardozer is cleaning the rest of the map up. It's 171 supply to 40. DON-ILYA is still trying because his economy is still okay. He still has these collection arrays, but he has lost a lot of production. Power banks are not going to keep him alive here. Career is strong, but as you add more brutes in, they're just going to tank for everything. This is just not really going to work. And certainly, again, Reaper's Rush is the thing. And also, Plague Axe is like everything's getting infested. The battle is quickly going to turn against you as everything dies, and that is really going to do it. This Creation Chamber, the singular prime node here. We can see the power of this, by the way, that you can just set a prime Creation Chamber anywhere on the map, and suddenly you build 5 units and defend aggression. That's a really cool thing. It does not matter. Jardozer takes a 22-minute, I think it was. What are we at? 21-minute epic. But of course, if you want more of this, uploads are going to be weird for a little bit. I'm going to be doing my best, but going into the future, you want more Stormgate. Monday through Friday, there's going to be stuff up here, and I have a big announcement coming up in the next couple days that is going to happen towards the end of August. If you want to stay tuned for that one. But for now, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. This is fun.